Hello, Silver Creek High School students who play saxophone, or any other high school that's watching this. Hi, I am Nish, in case you haven't met me. I play alto tenor and bari sax, um, and I wanted to do like a practice session for those students who have a saxophone but aren't practicing during the summer. I just wanted to go over some random things for day one. Um, Yeah, so let's just get into it. Obviously, the first thing you should do when you're practicing, when you get it out, gotta make sure your instrument's warmed up. So the way I do it is by doing long tones, or I just breathe into my instrument for a bit while I try to figure out what I'm gonna do for the day. So you can just do. By warming up your instrument, it's less likely to like fluctuate a lot when tuning. And tuning is another important thing. Um, and you can keep your instrument in tune. And you know how to tweak your embouchure to keep it in tune. Then that will make you a better player. So after warming up, we can tune our instrument. Um, sounds a lot better than when I was first playing this morning. I think my lips are starting to get used to it again. I haven't played in a while, but what I like to do for tuning is that I open up any tuner either on my phone, my computer, or if I have a tuner. I don't think I have a tuner. Oh, I do. So yeah, it's probably dead. But if you have a tuner like this, and you're able to just hold it next to your instrument, this is a good kind of tuner to use. Now, obviously, mine's dead, so you don't want to be using a dead tuner. Yeah, it's because I don't have any batteries. Yeah, obviously, you don't want to be using a dead tuner. But you want something that can tell you if you're sharp or flat, and then you're able to adjust it, right? So, for example, on saxophones, we like to tune on two notes. We like to tune on concert A and concert F. So concert A is, which is our F sharp. Now, if you forgot how to play F sharp, it's very simple. You take your left hand, you press the three keys, the three biggest keys, with your index, middle, ring, and then you're just using your middle finger on the lower end, which should be in between the other two white keys. So all right, I'm checking the tuner. I'm very much in tune, which means I don't need to adjust anything over here. Usually, if you need to adjust your, just like boot camp, right? But if you need to adjust your tuning, if you pull out, that makes it flat. You push in, that makes it sharp. So let me see. If I pull this out a little bit and I play again. Yeah, originally I was playing at which is like 221, a little bit sharp. I can always pull that a little bit. But before that, I was playing at 216. This is all in hertz, and because I'm below that 220 threshold for A, um, that means I'm flat, which means I would want to push in at that moment. If I was way in, okay, I can't seem to get this really sharp, but that does happen when you're under like hot stage lights or you're playing for a really long time. Then your instrument can start getting sharp, going above like 225. 5 cents over means that you're bright or you're not exactly in tune with everyone else. At that moment, you want to take your instrument, you want to pull out your mouthpiece a little bit slightly, and then recheck your tuning. Um, Obviously, if you're doing this during a concert, you tune with everybody else. For our band, we tuned with concert A and then concert F, so this aligns off perfectly. I'm going to tune my concert F. 174 hertz for F3, that's good. I'm going to check my higher notes. You can do this as well if you want to play your higher notes and then see how it reacts to the tuner. With these higher notes, you should never adjust the mouthpiece. Instead, you use your embouchure by dropping or tightening your lip, so like down or up, to affect if you're playing sharp or flat. If you drop your lip, you're tending to play more flat. If you purse your lip, you're more likely to keep a sharper tone. So my top D or concert F is a bit sharp. So what I should do is I should drop my lip a little bit. You should be able to hear the audible shift in pitch. And one thing I recommend for you to learn is to how to pitch bend at least one semitone lower. That way, if you're really, really sharp on the higher notes, you at least can pitch bend a little bit down. It also helps with just needing to rapidly go between two notes. Just like. So yeah, one practice thing you can do is you can just play a note, like play the note and then go down half a step. And then back up. And then do that again, but do not press the key to shift it down. In this case, I played a saxophone alto sax C, which is your in all but your pinky on your left hand and all the fingers on your right hand, with your pinky hitting the lower of the two keys that it rests on. Yeah. So when I was playing it originally, my saxophone was staying flat, so I need to purse my lip to keep it back up. But yeah, those lower notes can especially be very hard to do. So when I started out, I started playing it with like a G, your concert G, which is your G, which is your concert B flat. Oh yeah, one other thing, your C sharp tends to be, which is a concert E, tends to be very sharp most of the time on saxophones. Mine is doing okay right now, but I am starting to tend flat, mostly because I'm not putting enough air. So that's what I need to do. If you put more air, you tend to make your instrument go sharp, or at least up to the in tune range. And at least the good thing is, if you're playing sharp, you know how you can drop your embouchure to get back down. But if you're already pursing your lips and you're still flat, then you have to resort to either, oh, I am not pushed in all the way. So yeah, that's one thing. Pushing in your cork all the way to get in tune. So. And now I'm sharp. I'm just watching a tuner right here on my computer. I recommend Tuner Ninja. You can just search that up online. But anyway, it's just telling me I'm a bit flat, or in this case sharp, because I pushed in. So I just need to adjust with my lip to push down. And then after. Okay, so I'm gonna have to pull this out a little bit. All my other notes are tending to be sharp. Okay, once you get to the tuning section, there are things you can do to just practice for a day. If you're really tired and you don't really want to practice, what I recommend is doing long tones. Basically, you're going to take a deep breath in, and then you're going to exhale into your instrument while keeping a note going. So, and you want to have a tuner on the side to make sure that you're not like dropping out or you're going sharp. And what I can do is what I like to do is I do that, and then I watch a YouTube video or something, but making sure I'm always checking the tuner, see that I'm keeping in tune. Um, this is a more lazy form of practicing, but if you need to build up your air, you can also test yourself by trying to see how many measures you can go by holding a metronome or something and trying to go for like 4 to 8 measures. 8 measures, I believe, is recommended. Being able to hold a note for 8 measures of like probably like 100 BPM. But I need to really build up my endurance for that, so that's a kind of practice I can do. So you would just go. Now I will say, having a proper tuner would make this a lot easier. Normally I would use my phone for my tuner, but that is recording this video. That tends to have a better, more accurate mic. Now the tuners that you use are the best kinds of mics. If you can use one of those, hook it up to some other kind of mic with like an auxiliary cable, you're able to um, do it more easily. You would be able to check your tuning more easily. You would get a more accurate value, which means you can get a better idea of how to adjust your instrument. Now after that, I would recommend doing tonguing. So I need to practice that a lot. Knowing the difference between an accent, staccato, and a tenuto is very important. If I can find any rhythm exercises that have varying intonation, or not intonation, various articulation. Intonation is how you keep your instrument in tune. Articulation is how you play your note, like short, or you're connecting. Those are forms of articulation. If I can find like good exercises for that, I'll put them in the next videos. But my friend recommended to use something called, I believe the PDF is just called the Senza Titolo. It's just a bunch of swing etudes, which means you can just do this. I mean, it works for anything really. It like the first exercise is just you're playing to a rhythm and you're just doing C's over and over. Now the difference between the tenuto, where I have to keep a slight bit of detachment. The staccato cuts off very quickly. If you need to do an accent is a note that is emphasized more than the note before it. And then all the other notes afterwards are also emphasized less. But the key parts to an accent, I learned, are attack, wait, and release. So you need to create an accent that's appropriate for the moment. This is also true when you're doing stuff when you're trying to convey an emotion that requires difference between volumes, like a forte piano. You can't play a forte piano like this. Okay, I seem to have jumped up, but I didn't drop down. Now, forte piano has two very important parts. You got the forte and you got the piano. Most people can get the forte. The hard part is getting the piano afterwards. So you don't want... Oh, I seem to have cut this off, that's why. You want... You want that piano at the bottom. And when you're playing with a group, remember that the softest a band can play comes down to the softest its loudest player is playing. So loud instruments like saxophones and brass, I play both. And well, I mean, I play tuba, so you need to stay loud. But saxophones, you need to pull back, especially if there's a bunch of you. But half of all the bands I know have like 6, 7 saxophones, and even though there's like 18 clarinets sometimes, you're still gonna overpower them. This is a very strong boy. He's made out of metal. Those clunky clarinets aren't going to be able to do shit against this. Oops. Yeah. They can't do anything against these. These are war machines. But let's see. What else could you practice? Maybe for day one, this is already a lot to take in. You always like rewind this video if you want to go over something again. I'll come out with more tips and tricks each time. This is also a way for me to get my practice hours in, so I see it as a win-win. Um, so like a beginner swing etude looks something like this. I cannot see the lower part. Staccato. Messed up the last note. Yeah, so obviously things that I need to practice is doing intervals right after each other. So there's a part that goes. So that part I need to practice over because the articulation is not. It's the other way. Instead of holding from top note to the A, I need to do from the A to the top note. So. So yeah, articulation is very important. I will try to get a link to this in the description. I don't know where I can get this. I just got this off Discord. But yeah, this has a lot of stuff for jazz musicians. And if you don't play jazz, just play all the 8 notes straight. It doesn't matter. Being able to jump octaves and other things is important, regardless if you're playing classical or jazz. Is very common in just music in saxophone music in general. Like for example, I was helping someone with a piece called Nuits Blanches, which is White Nights. This has a part where the alto sax is playing ascending octaves. That's how it goes. Now that was just me sight reading it. I got pretty lucky with the octaves, but that usually takes me a lot of time to try to get, mostly because you have to be able to control your thumb to work independently of your other fingers. And not just that, you need to be able to jump back down, because what happens a lot, like especially if you're playing just a single type of octave over and over, like I'm not playing them as smoothly right now because what happens is if I accidentally hold it for too long, I can get this. Now, if you're looking carefully, I was still pressing the octave key. The little bit up here kept on moving up and down, but it always stayed on that high A. And that's one thing I need to practice is being able to jump back down. Yeah. So yeah, that's the example in classical music where you're getting all these weird jumps and weird like accidentals. Um, all right. If you're doing pep band or something like that, um, one thing I would recommend for you to do is learn how to sight sing to some extent. This is just in the case that you're given music. I know for Silver Creek High School, our band director is very nice, and she gives us the music before. But I've heard in some places where they get the music like a week or two in advance, and then they're also really busy, and they don't have the time to really learn it. And one thing I like being able to do is to take a piece and just sight read it to some extent, get the gist of how to play it. I recorded a video a while back where I was revealing that I got a saxophone, and I was just playing a random song my brother is obsessed with, called "Racing Into the Night," and it took me like 2 days to like properly learn it, but I was glad I was able to just read the beginning really easily because I've learned how to sight read to some extent. This takes a lot of finger memory, so knowing how to get from one note to another really easily, up and down, is core to being able to sight read. So yeah, that part I was able to sight read off the bat. Now the parts afterwards get very quick, and at that point you gotta learn how to practice. Um, for that, I would recommend using a metronome. Something I learned from playing piano is that if you take a section, like maybe not even a measure long, maybe half a measure long, you play that until you can get it right 5 times in a row, but you're doing this at half speed, and then you're going to raise it up to like 60% speed, and you're going to do it 5 times in a row correctly, and then you're going to do 70% speed, and then 80% speed, and then 85% speed instead of just straight up to 90. You're going to start edging yourself closer to 100%, and then you'll realize as you're going along the way what are the tricks you can do with your fingering to make it easier for your fingers to move fast enough to do those parts. Um, what else could I recommend? Yeah, this video is very impromptu. I do not have editing software, so you're going to hear all my beautiful slash unbeautiful thoughts. If you do jazz, learn your circle of fifths. There's tons of videos online, like people like Charles Cornell or Adam Neely, who go into like all crazy like TV show music and comic book music and movie music, and then like talking about all the aspects of music within them. But they also go over like all the different chords that like appear, and then you can see all the crazy stuff you can do with jazz, and being able to internalize how some of this stuff feels like a 2-5-1, where you're going like in C major, it's um 2-5-1, 2 meaning the second note of the C major scale, 5 meaning the fifth note. So that's going to be a D and a G. On a saxophone, that is a. So being able to internalize those kinds of chord progressions and knowing how to play with them. That's from Sesame Street, but that's like a really good 2-5-1. Yeah. So being able to do that is really good. And I would say the last thing you should do, the last thing to remember is that you need to relax every once in a while. If you're stressing too much, you're going to do what I do, and then you're going to accidentally break part of your lip. And that's very painful as a brass player and a woodwind player. If you don't give yourself rest, you're going to hurt yourself. Never hurt yourself. That's a bad idea. And with that last piece of advice, I think this video is huge. 25 minutes. Thank you so much for watching. If you watched all the way up to here, you have no obligation to like nor subscribe, but let me know down in the comments anything I should cover in future videos, or if you found this helpful, any improvements I should make in making these videos. Alright, see ya guys. This has been day 1.